So lately I've been feeling a little bit disorganized. I've started several projects, but I haven't finished any of them, which has led to an unfortunate state of clutter. It's really not my fault though. This all started with just realigning some CV joints. But since I was planning a coolant hose change, it made sense to tackle that before reinstalling the axle, because that made getting to the oil cooler hoses much easier. And of course, it was while changing the coolant hoses that I uncovered the problem with the throttle cable. With the car already drained of coolant and the filter pedestal and throttle cable out of the way, it began to make a lot of sense to just go ahead and tackle the water pump and timing belt change. Now this is my first time tackling the major service on this car myself, and the timing belt job is something that I want to execute with maximum precision. It's sort of important. Unfortunately, I don't feel that I can achieve maximum precision in the middle of a mess. That mess is a result of having 3 non-trivial projects in flight at once. Normally, I am the type of person who will start a project, finish it, and then go back and clean up after that project before starting another project. Unfortunately, I haven't been afforded that luxury in this case, and lacking the interim time in which to clean up, things have kind of gotten out of hand at this point. Now, I am no obsessed garage, but I do kind of aspire to keep things tidy, and there is a line at which it begins to really legitimately bother me and or actually hamper productivity. You know, I can't find, your ubiquitous can't find the 10mm problems, right? Unfortunately, the mess has gotten to the scale at this point that my brain is kind of struggling with it. It's like when you were a kid and you let your room get out of hand and your mom comes in and says, clean your room, and you go and you turn around and look at the huge pile of Legos and clothes and whatever else, and it just seems like this monumental task, even though the individual pieces of it wouldn't be so bad and you could finish it in an hour if you put your mind to it. But that's kind of where my brain is right now. It is in that toddler mode of I don't want to think about it. I've had so many things up in the air right now. I've got videos to make and other things to do that I've done what everybody does when faced with a monumental task like that, and I've procrastinated. I've had good excuses to do so. I've been waiting on parts or making other videos and things like that. But at this point, I have to put a stop to it. I have run out of excuses. I have this emergency to this. I have all the parts that I need. I need to move on with it. So I'm going to do what I always do in this type of situation when I'm not sure quite where to start, is I'm going to go over and make a list. You try and do it gracefully. We almost made it. We were this close to completing the list and being ready to go. Unfortunately, when I was going to install the tunnel carpeting on the driver's side, I noticed where some of the structural foam had cracked. The foam, rather, that makes up the dashboard and console in the NSX is kind of it's a rigid foam that has occasionally metal plates and brackets and stuff molded into it where it will attach to other things. And right where the kind of, shin pad, knee bolster, bottom of the knee bolster crossbar goes across, where that connects, I'll just show you. Anyway, the foam cracked. I presume that's either from me bracing my knee on it in left-hand turns, or a combination of that, and I somehow bumped it, harder than I intended to when I was rolling around under the dashboard trying to get to the throttle cable. Maybe my shoulder hit it and pushed it a funny direction or something. But either way, I had to pause and repair that. I did some research, and apparently Gorilla Glue is the thing to use there. Hashtag not sponsored. But because it foams as it cures, the standard issue Gorilla Glue, it will foam into all of the pores in the existing foam and do a better job of bonding it than a lot of things would. And it also isn't, it's not as significantly solvent-based as some. Solvent-based adhesives, you've got to be very careful using them on foam because they can actually dissolve what you're trying to bond. So anyway, that's set up and curing. I have it clamped together and should be ready to go. But what that means in the meantime, though, is I can't put the interior back in as I had planned to get it out of my way. So instead, what I have done is I've just kind of, moved it around the garage with everything else that I tidied up. I made enough room to where I could kind of consolidate it to the opposite side and get myself set up to do what we're going to be tackling next, which is the timing belt. Now that will be in the next video, maybe two, that you will see from my channel. I'll kind of show you in a second what I've got set up over here. But we're not going to tackle that in this video. This video was just kind of this is pre-game, right? And then we'll get on to the real stuff later. Now the timing belt job, I don't know how in depth I'm going to cover that. Now it's not something that I've done before. I'm not an expert. I'm bound to make mistakes. So that's kind of how I'm going to cover it, is a high level of saying, okay, these are the general processes that I, ran into. These are the big steps, I guess. And then I will highlight any places that I, as kind of a semi-competent wrench, ran into issues following the directions that I have pulled up back here on the laptop in the service manual. My understanding is that for the most part, you can just follow the service manual. And again, if you're careful and patient, then it should come out all right. So hopefully most of the time I'm pretty careful, and oftentimes I'm fairly patient, at least with mechanical things. So, so we'll see how that goes. But let me spin you around here and I'll show you how we got this set up. Starting behind me with kind of what you saw earlier, we've got the parts that I laid out that I'm going to need for the job. Then I have my laptop over here with the service manual pulled up on it. I figured I would go that route versus printing out the couple dozen pages needed. I will be using this tool cart. Right now I've got the pieces that I've bagged and tagged from the other sort of in-flight jobs on the bottom. The top I'm going to use for kind of tool, the tool setting area, so I'm not tempted to set anything down on top of the engine while I'm working on it, since I'm going to have the valve covers off. That could be bad news. Then moving down here where we've some significant cleanup has happened. I got a table set up back here, temporary table set up back here that I'll be able to arrange things in an orderly fashion as I take them off and keep track of everything. I'll also grab some sandwich bags and stuff. We'll cover it again. I'll kind of cover my prep more in detail in the next video, I think. And then I've procured a couple of helpful things, including I'm just going to own my, my vertical challenge here. I'm 5'8" on a good day, and when I have the car on jack stands like this, I have a propensity to lean over here. And you can see, now this is not all my doing, but you can definitely see here on the paint where it's developed a little bit of a patina from other people doing that over the years. So I'm going to protect that area really well. You know, the paint on this car, in spite of its age, except for the front bumper, is in pretty good nick, so I want to keep it that way if I can. This, again, is just so I can, you know, stand over and reach down more effectively to get to the bits of the timing belt that we're going to need to get to down in here. So that is the setup for now. We'll see if that survives first contact or not in the next video. That is when we will be starting the timing belt job. If you don't want to miss that, be sure and click the subscribe button down below. Again, it's not going to be an in-detail how-to, but I will be hitting the highlights and any challenges that I run into that might diverge from what's in the shop manual from just rote following directions. In the meantime, I appreciate you guys humoring my need for a little bit of order amidst chaos. Thanks again for watching. I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and I will see you all in the next video, if not under the hood,